A spy comedy with the formidable Radhika Apte as a Kolkata housewife who also happens to be an undercover agent. A sparkling idea, what could go wrong? As it turns out, everything. Debutante feature director Anushri Mehta, who's also written the story, begins the film with a gruesome murder. The victim is a lawyer. The murderer is a serial killer with this visceral hate for independent women. He goes by the moniker of common man. Another character says, वो strong और independent औरतों को target करता है. But unlike most serial killers, he's not a solo operator. There's this common man association. Their mission is to assassinate every strong woman on earth.
मुझे मारने वाला है.
So frustrating, that. एक कॉमन मैन को पकड़ नहीं पाया.
This plot is so ridiculous that it's impossible to take the film seriously. So I was hopeful that perhaps Mrs. Undercover would find the exuberance and the fun of a comic book. But that doesn't happen either. This film works less as a film and more as a high school essay that's insistent on making points about gender and patriarchy. Anushri has also dedicated the film to her mother, who's a homemaker. Mrs. Undercover begins with celebrating you, Ma. The idea, as Anushri said in interviews, is to celebrate the strength and endurance of the housewife who toils without payment or appreciation. Again, a worthy thought frittered away by feeble execution. The film positions the housewife alongside the goddess Durga, who with her many hands is arguably the ultimate multitasker. This thematic design is rendered with zero subtlety. Radhika's character is named Durga, and she is the quintessential overworked housewife, scampering to please her indifferent husband, her affectionate but demanding in-laws, and her precocious son. Her mother-in-law has become forgetful, but this is used as material for comedy. Durga's husband is so callous that it's a mystery why she even wants to be with him. Durga never complains, and instead bends over backwards to keep the house running smoothly. All of which threatens to fall apart when she's approached by the head of the special task force and given the assignment of nabbing the misogynistic serial killer. This head, named Chief Rangila and played by Rajesh Sharma, approaches Durga in various disguises and tries to persuade her. In one scene, he's a priest at a temple. In another, he's a fish seller. Which made me recall my favorite line from Love Shavte Chicken Khurana, in which Rajesh plays the wonderful Titu Mama. I felt like saying, Bakwas na kar Titu. I get why this role appealed to Radhika. The titles position her in and as Mrs. Undercover. This in and as is its own seduction. It's a phrase almost solely reserved for heroes. The script gives Radhika an arc. She starts as this submissive, clumsy housewife. At one point she says, मैं मिक्सर नहीं चला पाती, गन कहाँ से चलाऊं?
मिशन मैं नहीं करूँगी. मेरे बेटे की यूनिट टेस्ट है 7 दिन में.
But then Durga finds her inner goddess. As Durga, Radhika gets to kick butt, she gets to flex her comic timing. However, Mrs. Undercover's women empowerment theme conflicts with its own stance. Durga only unleashes her inner Durga once Chief Rangila goads her to. On her own, she has little gumption or even personality. Even in a film about women empowerment, men hold the reins. Radhika is a fine actor, but here she leans into the clumsy tone of the film with exaggerated expressions. In one particularly cringe scene, she's disguised as a sex worker in Sonagachi, Kolkata's red light area. Because spies are often pretending to be who they are not, this role forces actors to delve into the idea of giving a performance within a performance. Here, Durga is a special agent, disguised as a housewife, disguised as a sex worker. The possibilities are endless, but this film doesn't make the time or space to explore them. Sumit Vyas, who is an unconventional casting choice for the character he plays, doesn't fare much better. What the film does is give viewers a basic tour of Kolkata. There are scenes in front of the Victoria Memorial, a murder with Howrah Bridge in the backdrop, a chase through the narrow bylanes. But this should have been so much more. You can see Mrs. Undercover on ZEE5. What did you think of Mrs. Undercover? Tell me in the comments below, and do check out our podcast on critics and criticism and tell us what you thought of that too.